It seems the Detroit Lions have finally found their offensive coordinator, and that is John Morton, who actually was in Detroit when Ben Johnson first was offensive coordinator. He was one of the top offensive assistants. He goes to the Broncos to work under Sean Payton, and he becomes the passing game coordinator. And you guys saw Bo Nix last season. He had an excellent rookie year. You know, they didn't necessarily have the best weapons when it comes to the run game and really in the passing game, but Bo Nix had a tremendous year, and I think John Morton has a lot to do with that. He interviewed, he gets the job, and Dave Burkett put out this tweet. It's Dan Campbell, what he said about John Morton after he was in Detroit for 1 year. Now, Dan Campbell said what Johnny Morton did for us on offense this year was pivotal, and it was behind the scenes, and I'm not sure everybody understands just how important he was. And Dave also said that was from the Combine in 2023. And Dave says here, Lions brought Morton in to help after Ben Johnson first got the OC job. Ben said at one point Morton added some Gruden influence to this offense. So he's obviously offensively creative. He's got pedigree. He's been coaching in the NFL for a long time. And, you know, I think he's about 50, 55 years old. He's from the area, went to Western Michigan from Auburn Hills. So he's obviously bright offensively. And we have this as well, which I want to share with the people. It's a great tweet. Shout out to Nolan Bianchi, who covers the Lions for the Detroit News. He put this out. And it was the 2017 Jets offense under John Morton. He was the offensive coordinator with the Jets, actually with Casey Rogers, who's currently the defensive line coach, who was a defensive coordinator at one point. But look at some of the numbers here. I mean, Josh McCown, career high in passing yards and touchdowns. I mean, running back, Bilal Powell, career high in rushing yards and touchdowns. Robbie Chosen, career high in touchdowns, second most yards of career. Wide receiver Jermaine Kearse, career high in receiving yards and touchdowns. And Austin Seferian-Jenkins, career high in receiving yards. So based on the personnel there, not great, but he got the most out of his players, which I think is a great thing. And, you know, he's now going to have all the weapons at his disposal, and there's familiarity there, which Dan Campbell talked about, wanting to keep similar lingo language with Jared Goff, wanting to keep things pretty similar, and you bring in a guy who's been an offensive coordinator before and has a ton of coaching experience. And it's one thing I did mention when I talked about the coordinators is it's tough. You're going to go into the season with potentially two rookie coordinators if they hire Calvin Shepard. I assumed Tanner Engstrand was going to get the OC job, but I was wrong. I was way off. Calvin gets the job. He's a rookie coordinator, but now they bring in a seasoned guy who had a lot to do with really this offense when it first started taking off. So you have a kind of a seasoned offensive coordinator, a rookie defensive coordinator, and I guess I asked myself, you know, what happened with Tanner Engstrand? And I would ask you guys your opinion on that. Was he not ready? What's the kind of the deal there? Maybe he's just not ready, which it happens. I did not expect Tanner not to get the job. I expected him to get the job, but maybe Johnny Morton is someone that Dan Campbell thinks will be better off with this offense, taking on a high-powered offense, an offense that's, you know, put up historic numbers, not only in franchise history, but NFL history. Johnny Morton's a guy he wants to hand the reins to. And to be honest with you guys, when I first read it, I was like, interesting, because I do remember the name John Morton. I didn't know how much he had to do with the offense. Now that I've been reading a lot more, I think this could be a great hire. Dan's obviously very close with him, but everything stays the same to me in terms of expectations. Like John Morton and Calvin Shepard, awesome. The expectations don't change. I expect this offense to be an elite unit, and I expect this defense to be very good. So as long as those two guys can help the offense and defense get there, then I'm happy. It doesn't matter to me how it looks or the name. It's about results, and that's what matters. So if John Morton can take this offense and keep it at a high-powered level, personally, I think Ben got it to a very, very high level. He set the bar very high, but I'm not even asking him to do what Ben did. I just want this offense to be very good and better situationally. I think that's where Ben sometimes would lack, is situational awareness. Now, when it comes to Calvin Shepard, it's the same thing. Aaron Glenn never really had the weapons, or I guess the talent, because of injuries this season. But now Calvin's inheriting a very good defense. You're getting back all these great players that were hurt. Brad's going to add more in free agency and in the draft. So I expect out of Calvin a very good defensive unit. And if these guys can't accomplish that, then there's the door. And I would expect Dan Campbell to do the same thing he did to Anthony Lynn if either of these guys don't work out. But at this point in time, guys, you have your offensive and defensive coordinators, John Morton and Kelvin Shepherd. What do you think of them? And really, the conversation today has been mainly about John Morton. I didn't really talk much about Kelvin, but I will get to that later when we do our live show at 8 to 10 p.m. We'll discuss Kelvin Shepherd. We'll talk about John Morton. But what do you make of the John Morton move? I like it, to be honest with you. I think it's intriguing. And, man, if Dan is as high on him and his offensive mind as I've been reading, then this will, in my opinion, work out. But we shall see. Comment down below. Leave your thoughts. What do you think of John Morton? You think it'll work out? You think it'll be better than Ben? Just as good as Ben? Not as good as Ben? I'll read all the comments I can. I try to respond to them. And appreciate you guys. We just hit 12.1 thousand, which is massive. So keep subscribing. Keep supporting. Tell a friend to subscribe. And get your merchandise. officialctsports.com. I will catch you guys tonight. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.